Hello. Just going to do a little video here on a couple of the things that are going to get run into as you have played a few games. And that is going to be the veteran system, and skills and spells. I think that'll probably be what we go into. Just for anybody watching, we're currently, and by we I mean me and a few friends playing a campaign right now. So I may make occasional references to that, but just so you know what I'm going on about. So we'll start with the veteran system. Now, what you're going to be doing is during your playing of the game, you're going to gradually unlock various tasks down here through doing all sorts of things like making weird stone deliveries. If you do some of the campaign missions, like the special missions per race, after you've killed so many people, there's all sorts. There's a whole bunch of them that you can gradually cross off. So apparently we've done this one, and it's not. It actually takes quite a while to do most of them because they are pretty intensive. So you'll gradually do those, and as you knock them off, you'll get little points. Like I have one unspent point, and you can put that into a veteran skill. Both these sides are the same. And the weird thing is that as you play the game, you'll accrue points whichever warband you're using, but then you then spend them on the warband that you're currently on. If that makes any sense. So you can also respec them, pull them off and use them in different places if you're not happy with what you got. They do a variety of things, but to be honest, most of them just give you slight cost reductions to things. So, you know, you can reduce the cost to your leader upkeep and whatnot. It's very helpful over the course of the campaign, but it's not gonna actually alter the power of your warband. There are a couple that do, you know, even these ones that are like give you a chance at getting extra items. That's essentially cost reduction in its own way. There's only maybe one or two that don't do that, and that is the, where is it? Down here. Oh, I can't remember now. Renowned? No, maybe it's because I already got it here. Negotiator. So if you have Negotiator, that does let you take extra time on your Weirdstone requests, which is huge. So I do recommend that one. And then you can do the Mastery as well, which boosts up. You can see for Mastery, you get an additional 3 days. So really good one that. But most of the others are just reducing costs or allowing you to maybe see items more often. So that's kind of what's going on in there. So just keep an eye on them, get them when you can. We're probably going to beat ours out in our campaign to try and make it a bit fairer, sort of so everybody gets them gradually. Next up, skills and spells. So let's go to, there's only one guy on this warband that has the availability to both. Most people aren't going to have spells, but so I'll go over them next. There's only a few people that can do that, spellcasters, but everybody has access to skills. There are active and passive skills. So active are ones that you're going to see pop up during the game. You're going to actually use your red and blue, your offense and strategy points, to do these. And you can see when I hover over it that it has a cost. If I try and point, I can point at it. Okay. So it'll have a blue or red cost. And these are additional different kinds of actions that you can do beyond your regular sort of Overwatch or make a swing or whatnot. Some of them are generally a little bit more helpful than others, I feel like, but yeah, you can have a look through. What you'll do is you'll go to plus and then you can look over on the right hand side and scroll through the various types. So there's a ton, and they sort of correspond to the general attributes that you've boosted over here. And I think there are a few that vary from gangs. So I think the special ones are unique to your particular gang, so they're often worth looking through. And obviously, if you're like a leader, maybe you go for I think there is leadership, right? Or is it leadership? So you might look through those. Obviously, if you're a close-up guy, weapon skill is going to be important. It's pretty obvious. And then the passive skills are going to always be essentially on. So this guy has some magic ones, and those are going to be always passive going underneath. I quite like passive skills. I mean, both are useful, but passive skills you don't have to, you feel like you're always going to be kind of using them in a way. But I'm not saying that they are necessarily better per se. Just I like them. But what you're going to see is, let's go to something. Yeah. So when you're looking at these, the cost increases as they go down. So you can see the ones at the top are a little less powerful, but you can afford them more easily. It's 100 to train them, whereas the ones at the bottom goes all the way up to 300. And there might be 400 ones for various things, I'm not sure, but they get super expensive. So it's not something you're going to do until you've really kind of boosted your gang up a little bit, because money's tight. A lot of the time in this game, you're going to have to make some deliveries and whatnot of Weirdstone before you can even think about this. The little green and 2 here, that's essentially saying that you have to have earned 2 skill points, which you'll get as you level up. And once you do, you'll see that the little cross here disappears, and that will kind of allow you the ability to train them. You're going to want to think about when you do that, because there is a training time related to each skill. So if you look down here, there's a learning time. Some of them are pretty quick, but see, that's 3 days. So you have to time when you're going to do it, because that person is going to be, as if they were injured, they're going to be out for 3 days. Also, a lot of them have requirements, especially the big ones. So you need to have the strength to do it. Well, if it's a strength one, you need to have the various attributes. So, leadership. Quite often it's only going to be your leaders that can do some of those and whatnot. So that is something you're going to have to watch out for. You're going to need the skill points, the money, and you're going to need to have the requisite attribute down here. So it's something that you can get kind of lost in the menus of. They do all sorts of things. Some of them give you alternate strikes you can make in combat that maybe cost more red points, but do fancy things. So let me give a quick example. So Jaw Strike, it costs an extra red to do, but you can reduce their strategy points if it's successful. There we go. Oh, I must have gone to a different one. Which one did I do? Hamstring? Yeah. So it does regular damage, but if you hit them, their strategy points reduced by 1 for a turn. So they all do little things like that. I think it's something you want to think about who you put it on, because you have to think, is my person going to have enough points when they get into combat to do this? So I quite often think, well, I've got 5 points and my guy takes 2 per turn to swing his weapon. That means that oftentimes I have a red point that I'm not using in combat. So it's something you might want to put on him. You wouldn't want to put on somebody that only has 4 offense points, because you're never going to use it. You're always going to feel like swinging twice is better. So you have to consider how you want to use them. I like the blue ones because when you get kind of close to the enemy, you end up not using a lot of blue points, so they can be really useful. This is an interesting one, a stance that increases your melee resistance. They vary on how good they are, but or how useful. We, to sort of sidetrack, for our campaign, we might start running with a mod soon that rebalances the skills, but that will be if we restart our campaign. We're kind of sort of discussing that right now, so that might kind of, I think they've balanced a bunch of the skills in that, so don't worry about what I'm saying about what's worth taking or not, because I think they've helped that out. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll have to see. And once you've put these skills on a guy, he'll train them up. When he comes back, he'll have them, and whenever you're in combat, you'll see them pop up as an option to use. And like I say, some of them allow you to hit. Some of them make you run a little faster or make you better at climbing up and stuff. There's all sorts of cool things. So you can kind of, they really allow you to push your guys in different directions, which is fun. All right. Oh, also masteries. Much like the veteran points, you can, after you've got a skill, you can then later on spend more to master that skill, which can be kind of cool because oftentimes that really puts it to the next level. Like this one, I love this skill actually. This is a good example. Take a stance where you're allowed to make 2 attempts to dodge next turn. I mean, that is huge. And if you get it all the way up to mastered 4, I mean, that's crazy, right? So yeah, that's skills. It takes a while to do them, and you'll probably only do 1 or 2 every once in a while because they're so expensive. Spells are kind of similar. So obviously only spellcasters can take this, so you're unlikely to have more than 1 or 2 guys on your gang that can use these. There's not a huge list of them, you can see, for this particular caster because it varies from gang to gang. I should say warband. They work pretty much the same as skills. You'll get spell allocation points on your spellcasters, and once you've got a couple from leveling up, you can then drop the money into training them up. And very similar, they have a learning time, and then you've got that skill in your arsenal, and you can, you know, you can throw little debuffs out. Some of them are aggressive and actually deal damage. Like this does damage and a debuff, which is pretty cool. But it comes with its chance of cursing you, which is bad. But yeah, they're essentially like skills for spellcasters. But they do kind of do fun things. So definitely worth looking at if you've got a spellcaster, especially seeing as the spells you quite often come with are not that exciting. It gives you the chance to branch out in a different way and use your spellcaster differently. So they're cool, but once again, it'll take you a little while to use them. But that's how they work. Again, you just have to look through and see what appeals to you. Because there's a lot of sort of like, is this going to be useful? And like, how am I going to use that with my guys? So it just takes some sitting down and reading through them. The skills is just a billion of them, so that's even more of a thing. I think the other last thing I'm going to quickly go through, because I think we're going to run into this, and this is kind of like a higher gang level problem. Problem isn't the right word. Is enchantments and formulas. These are going to start cropping up because you start getting the better quality items. So you can see I've started getting some blue items. That's, I guess, I don't know if they call that rare or legendary or, you know, how they attribute them. I don't think this gang has any purples. Yeah, I guess no purples yet, but you get blue, which is good, and then purple, which is great. So if you have blue or purple things, you'll see they come with a little star here, which is a little slot to put an enchantment on. I think generally if I can get blue and purple equipment on my gang, I will do it because it greatly enhances it over regular. You can kind of see if I compare the helmet here, see if I can move my mouse over there. It just really ups the percentages quite a lot, and it helps the stuff which is bad too, right? So it's got plus to stun resistance, but a minus to perception chance reduction. So it's really good. If you can get blue items and even better purple items, they just buff it even more. It's well worth it. And you can see it says empty mark slot. So it's marks for evil gangs, and then I don't remember what it is for the good guys, but essentially they're enchantment slots. The way to use them is to click on the item, go to enchanting, and then any that you can use, there's a cost involved in putting it in, but you'll have had to have learnt the formula, and any that you've learnt the formula for, you'll see open here. This one we have not learnt yet, so we can't use that. This one apparently we've learnt. I think if I remember on this warband, look, we've got 3, and it will vary from a lot of them you can only use on certain things. So like for weapons, we have none that we've learnt, but for armor, we've learnt these 3. So we could apply, if we had the money, we could enchant them. And they're pretty simple to use. You just, once you have the money, you click on it and it will drop in that slot and you'll see that that goes blue. And I think it will let you know under the armor that you've enchanted it. We don't have anything enchanted, right? Doesn't look like we do. But we do have some slots. Now you can get formulas in a few ways. You'll pick them up on the battlefield. You'll sometimes get them as rewards. Obviously, you can get them off fallen people on the other campaigns. Sometimes they pop up in the shop. There you go. So you can buy them, and then once you've bought the formula, you'll have access to that enchantment now. And you can put it on. So that's a weapon one. So technically, we could buy that weapon one and then be able to put that on the stuff. What I will say is there's a load of them and you have to be selective about them because they're expensive to both get the formula for, unless you get lucky and get given it. And they're also kind of expensive to put in, but they can really enhance your stuff. So I'm not saying it's not worth it, but it's another expense that you worry about later. One last place that I can think of that you can get it is from gradually, as you send shipments out to your primary faction, and you can even do it with the secondary factions, but it's not easy. I think eventually you will get access to some formulas. Let's see if we can find one, because you get like extra days to fulfill requests, but then you also yeah, there we go. Enchantment pack. So you can actually unlock them through here. I've not had much, because it takes a long time to get reputation. So it's not something that's going to be common, but it's possible. So that's, yeah, I felt like enchantments was worth mentioning because that's another kind of as you're going through thing. If I think of any more, I will drop them into future videos, but this covers a few things that you might be unsure of as you're going through and think, well, what's that little blue thing? And it says I've got an empty mark slot. What does that mean? And you might also have seen the enchantment thing here and thought, well, you know, that obviously means something. And what are all of these? Last thing I'll say on these is I think blue ones you can put in blue items. Purple ones, I guess they call them masterwork. You can only put in a purple item. Hang on, it's the other way around. I don't think you can put a blue one in a purple item, but you can put purple in a blue item. I think that's the way around it is. But now I'm not 100%. It's probably not going to be something we run into for a while. But there's definitely one of them is not, you can't use the other. I can't remember if it's you can't put a purple in a blue or you can't put a blue in a purple, but it's definitely one of those. But it's going to be a while before you see purple ones anyway, so no worries about that. Alright, I think that's everything I wanted to cover. But hopefully that answers some thoughts. Like I say, you will get the, you can see here, you'll get the little green dot. If you're ever wondering what these are. The exclamation point, I believe, is, hey, you've got points you can put into your skills, like unspent points over here. The green dots is, hey, this guy could theoretically take a skill. And then when you go over to the skills, it will show you, hey, you've got points you can spend. They're all kind of crossed out now, I believe, because we don't have the money to do them. But we've got the points. So, yeah, that's everything. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye for now.